Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ISMG hosted webinar on AI, on the topic AI at Scale, Blueprint for Network Innovation. This is sponsored by Sify. I am Rashmi Ramesh, Senior Associate Editor with ISMG, and I have the pleasure of being your host for the next 1 hour. And I really want to thank everyone for taking the time on a Wednesday afternoon, middle of the work week, to spend an hour with us for education and for the insights. Now, as you all know and experience, enterprises are racing to harness AI's transformative potential. And the pressure now is on the network infrastructure, and it has never been greater than this. So, from reducing latency and bottlenecks to securing data flows across a multi cloud and hybrid environment, today's CIOs, CISOs, and network leaders, that's all of you, right, face a very complex balancing act. So, the aim of this session is to bring together senior executives from manufacturing, from technology, to explore practical strategies for building AI ready networks, for integrating security models such as SASE and zero trust, and meeting stringent regulatory and compliance requirements. So all of us will eventually gain actionable insights on performance optimization, partner selection, and future-proofing network architecture with candid perspectives on what is working, what is not working, and where the biggest opportunities lie. So before we begin, I want to quickly go over the flow of the session. So Sify, as the sponsor, will share insights on the topic to just get us started. And we will follow that up with a panel discussion and then a Q&A session. So you can ask your questions in the chat box at any time. A lot of you are also saying hello, good afternoon. So you can ask your questions there, and Sify will answer them real time on the screen or in the chat box directly. There will also be poll questions for you that pop up during the course of the webinar. And I request that you answer them as honestly as you can, because these responses will be key in guiding the discussion today. So let's actually work through the first one right now to understand where you, our audience, are in your journey. Sukrita, can you bring up the first poll, please? Yeah. So the first question is here, which is, where is your organization in its AI adoption journey? So your first response is, we're just exploring use cases. Or maybe you're piloting AI models, or you already have that in place and you're scaling it up in production, and or you're, everything is sorted and you're already running large scale AI workloads. Or maybe you haven't started on your journey yet, and that is why you're here to learn. So pick the option that works the best for you. Okay, perfect. So we have, oh, interesting. So we have the most votes for exploring use cases, which is a great place to be. Curiosity is always advised. And also, a lot of you are already in the process of piloting AI models. Excellent. So we have a lot of people who are in the middle of your AI journey. So at this point, and with that context, it is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenters who will kickstart the session. We have with us Pranesh Babu Khyatasandra, who is the Global Practice Head of Network Digital Managed Services at Sify Technologies. And we also have Santhana Prasanth R, who is the General Manager of Product for Network Infrastructure Services at Sify Technologies. Handing it over to the both of you.
Yeah, thank you all, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for your time. My name is Prasanth, and I've spent almost close to around 15 years with Sify, right? So the presentation will be divided into two parts. One is the role of network infrastructure in AI, right? And then and Mr. Pranesh will cover the role of network managed services in AI, right? So I'll cover the infrastructure part of it, right? And to start with, no, everybody knows this, right? There is a significant market growth for AI. It's currently at almost close to $1.8 trillion, which is it is projected to go at around $1.8 trillion, and India market share is significantly high, right? Because the reason for this market growth is because of all the open AIs and Google Gemini's high performance compute requirements. And there are a lot of every organization is evolving towards AI, and there are training models and inference workloads across the globe, right? Which is actually driving the growth for AI, right? So the market is there, and what is actually the role of network and the growing demand for AI, right? Right, the first thing is from a Sify perspective, right? We are committed to build high performance core network to actually kind of support the AI scale, right? We have built terabits of backbones connecting cities and connecting metros, right, to actually facilitate the growth in AI demands, right? And we also have if there are AI GPUs being hosted out of any of the facilities, right? We facilitate interconnection between two compute nodes, right? And we also run Sify being both data center and a network service provider. We also run, carrier grade, reliable routing performance across the networks that we build, right? So we are focused towards building a high performance core, and this high performance core delivers is actually to deliver a low latency fabric, right? Because of the growing AI demands, the data replications between nodes requires extremely low latency, right? We are also focused towards building less than 1 millisecond, microseconds of latencies between offices, between data centers, to actually kind of facilitate the training and inference models that every organization is building, right? And of course, this is by design, it is secured. We kind of build these AI models across across the DC edge and the infrastructure ecosystem, right? Like I said, we seamlessly interconnect between DCs, and we also connect. We also have edge nodes, which are like data centers are also going beyond the tier 1 cities, and we call those edge nodes in tier 2 cities wherever we are establishing a network. So we kind of facilitate interconnection between DCs, between cities, and we also facilitate interconnection at low latency, high performance network to the cloud networks, right? So we kind of unify, our network is built to kind of unify the DC, cloud, and the edge environment, right? And on top of that, we also run an orchestration layer, right? We call the SDN enabled platform, which actually facilitates customer for self-provisioning. We can even do services like bandwidth on demand, as and when you would want to have scale in your bandwidth, or you would want to have lower bandwidths, right? We have kind of built an orchestration platform on SDN or SDN, which actually facilitates network bandwidth as a service, kind of, right? So these are all the things that we are building as far as the network is concerned today, right? So from a data center and network spread, there are, like I said, there are significant investments that going in terms of expanding our data center and the network footprint, right? We are expanding our data centers in Mumbai, in Noida, in Chennai. We have very recently opened a data center, right? We are expanding our data center in Bangalore. We also have cable landing stations in Mumbai. We have our SAT gateway in Kolkata. right? And over and above that, we also have 17 cities. We envisage 17 metro cities which are completely fiberized today, and we want to go to around 30 metro cities connected on fiber network by end of this year, right? On top of the data center and the network investments, and the HDCs that we are doing, we are also connected to all the hyperscalers, right? By default, being a data center and a network service provider, most of these hyperscalers are actually also hosted out of our data center, which can kind of facilitate low latency inter DC connectivity between the customer's ecosystem to any of the hyperscale ecosystems, right? So we continue to kind of invest in our infrastructure, expand our data center footprint, and in process of doing this, we are also interconnected with most of with all the cloud hyperscalers, and then they are in some of the hyperscalers are also hosted out of our data center and some of our data centers in Mumbai and Delhi, right? So which actually facilitates low latency interconnection within the facility in our data center, right? So what are these AI networks being used for, right? We kind of divided this into three different distinct categories, right? Let's say, for example, you would want to run a centralized training for your organization, right? Which kind of requires high performance GPUs, right? And you would want to have a low latency connectivity within the campus, and you would also want your GPs to be hosted out of a facility, and you would also want, let's say, for example, a backup of GPUs being hosted out of cloud, right? That's where we call that as a centralized training at scale, where we can kind of facilitate interconnection between your GPU facility and the cloud facility inside the network, right? And in cases where, for example, your GPU is hosted out of any of your office premise, and you have a backup of your AI workloads being hosted of any of the other data centers or in the cloud, we also have a metro network. We also have built our optical network, which can facilitate the workload, the communication between two workloads at the lowest possible latency, right? So that's what we call it as centralized training at scale. When you are actually doing production and inference, right? We also have, like I said, we also have a platform, a provisioning on demand, a data center interconnect provisioning platform, which we call it as Sify on net, which you can use to, when you can scale the bandwidth as and when required and things like that. And also, right, when you are when the AI models are actually shifting to edge, right, we also have connective edge, connecting to core. There are networks that we have set, and we also have SD-WAN deployed on Sify NLD, right? Which you can, for example, if you want to deploy your training and inference, AI inference into your factories, right? There are network infrastructure elements that can kind of support you, like SD-WAN, and the connectivity between edge to core, which can kind of facilitate the implementation of AI at your factory locations, right, in edge locations, right? So I'll just spend a little bit of time in terms of talking about what Sify OnNet as a platform is all about, right? It's a platform, like I said, it's a self-provisioning platform, which kind of enables one port. You kind of buy a 1G or a 10G port, and you can activate multiple services on top of that port, multiple infrastructure services on top of that port, right? And this SDN platform is currently available in 17 cities, and it actually covers 600 connected buildings, which are actually pre-wired, and the infrastructure is already available for you to kind of log into that portal, and you can do a self-provisioning of services like Ethernet, internet, and the customer would want to connect into multi-cloud environments like Azure, AWS, Google, or Oracle. You can kind of do that over this particular online platform, right? So yeah, when I'm calling it as a port, you can buy a 1G port and a 10G port, and you can add as many services as possible from that particular connected building to the extent of to the extent of 1G or a 10G port, right? So you can buy, for example, on a 10G port, you can buy a 2G internet, and you can buy a 3G connectivity to AWS hosted environment, and you can also buy a point to point between two data centers to the extent of 2G on the port that you're buying, right? And the services that you're actually activating on this SDN platform is completely like it's completely automated, right? It's, and you can kind of scale and descale as and when you would want to do that, right? This is the SDN platform that actually this is what we call this an orchestration layer that kind of runs on top of the core and the low latency network that we have built up, right? So this is like near is almost your the provisioning is also where you, for example, you would want to activate a service for of internet of 2 Gbps, and the provisioning, because the infrastructure is already pre-wired and it's already available, right? It is, you can it is almost near close to real time as far as the provisioning is concerned. And it also talks to our internal ecosystems, be it talking to the routers or switches for the provisioning mechanism, or talking to the billing system for changes in bandwidth, and things like that is all completely real time that happens, right? And it's currently available for all the infrastructure services, which is Ethernet, internet, and you can also have multi-cloud platforms that you can kind of activate on top of the port that you want, right? So we are like, if you are talking about the AI ecosystem, right? You're talking about sovereignty, you're talking about proximity, right? You're talking about connectivity, and you're talking about the premise, right? So when you're talking about sovereignty, data center on-premise, in-building networks are extremely critical, and our data centers are liquid cooling, NVIDIA certified data center, right? And we are actually a carrier neutral facility, and we also have cloud adjacency, which actually means there are multiple cloud service providers who are kind of hosted in our data center, which can facilitate near zero latency connectivity to cloud and your ecosystem, right? So we also have, like I said, we are probably one of the first to start the edge, which is like smaller data centers in tier 2 cities, right? And we will continue to expand as far as our edge footprints are concerned, right? So which actually means that as we go expand our data center footprint into tier 2 cities, we are going closer to the eyeballs, right? Our proximity towards eyeballs actually reduces as we go to the tier 2 cities, right? And our data center and the edge network environment is actually connected through the NLDs and the metro networks that we are doing, right? We have optical solutions on a metro network which can deliver you low latencies. We have IP, all kinds of IP and MPLS services that can be delivered on this network. We also have cloud connects, be it inside our data center connecting to cloud, or outside of data center connecting to cloud. We can kind of facilitate this environment. And if there are if a branch is very far off and things like that, we also have a large wireless coverage which can facilitate connectivity towards the edge in the data centers to facilitate your AI transformation, right? And on premise, we also do managed services, right? Edge computing, private 5G, Wi-Fi, managed services, all the things that we also do, right? And from here, I would hand over the session to Mr. Pranesh, who has been our global practice head for managed services, who will actually take you through on the sessions on managed services, and it's and how we are evolving as far as the AI is concerned. Pranesh, over to you.
Hey, thanks, Santhana. Hey, hi, everybody. Nice to talk to all of you on a very, very interesting topic on AI. So I think Santhana has given you a good view in terms of like how Sify is gearing up to support the AI infrastructure. I want to actually take a few minutes in terms of explaining how are we actually evolving ourselves into modernizing our network management practice in terms of help managing such a vast scale of development which is happening with the AI scale. And how are we using AI in terms of managing? It's always to use the technology to actually build a technology, right? That's a key part of it. So I'll cover certain areas where how are we using AI to actually enhance our network management capabilities, and what are the use cases we are actually looking at there. Can you just go to the next slide, please? Okay. So what is it? Where are we today, right? We are in the cusp where with all the new technology, from the network perspective, it's a jungle. From the perspective of there is AI, which is actually increasing the demand on the infrastructure, and then there are the complexities of the network is growing because there is cloud, multi-cloud, there is work from home, there is work from office, and security is something which has to be inbuilt into all of this because it's very, very critical. So there is a huge network complexity which is growing with the technology advancements. So a fragmented network, you need to fragment the network to ensure that you have price efficiency, and a software defined is controller problem is like you have one controller for one part of the network, you have another controller for the another part of the network. This is all, while it is helping us scale our infrastructure, it is also adding operational complexity, and that's an area which is a growing concern. And then the cost efficiency is the critical one. So everybody is looking at, when you're scaling up, how do you actually reduce cost per unit? So a linear scale of operations, that is like you add 120 device, 100 devices, and you add so many people to manage it, is not something which is workable, which is a problem of linear scale of operations. And because of unprecedented growth, there is over provisioning and underutilization, right? So somebody wanted a project, we added a project, and then it has been provisioned considering what is the business plan, but the technology changes and there is a utilization which is dropping, and we are creating more and more capacity. So automation to achieve a mechanism to see how a human in the loop will not create an issue, right? So if you look at any of the issues, most of the issues are actually created by a human-led problems of somebody making a mistake. So how do we actually avoid that to ensure that your cost of operations are not increasing? And enhanced performance and reliability is another area which everybody is worried about. With so much of spread of technology and infrastructure all across, how do you ensure that it is reliable and your performance is optimal? Then the next part is enhanced security. Now the security has to be at everywhere, right? So it's today we are talking about work from everywhere, operate from everywhere, use from anywhere. So with that, the security also has to be enhanced so that the security is everywhere. And the role of AI in networks is also very, very important. Considering all this, if we need to actually manage such a complex environment where the network growth is unprecedented, AI is very, very important. That is in terms of ensuring knowledge retention and recommendation, right? So that's in a good use case for AI, where you look at how do you enhance the capability of a L1 engineer to that of a L3 engineer by providing the knowledge and also giving a recommendation which is very intelligent, and it is focused on the real issue. And how do we actually use AI to do predictive operations with optimized insights, right? So that this is in help, it can tell you that instead of waiting for something to go wrong, how can we predict it and avoid a failure, which is a very great use case in industries. And I'm sure we can use the same thing on networks, which we are working on. And AI agents replacing human agents. That is like, how can I look at creating a dark knock at eventually that I, instead of people with people skill set troubleshooting problems, can we have AI agents which can actually understand the entire service architecture in terms of how the network is built, and it can actually identify a problem and solve it. So this is the area which we are focusing on AI in terms of managing the complexities and the demand of the network. Can you go to the next slide? Santhana. So how are we doing it, right? So from Sify's perspective, to help our customers, we have actually created very clear uh, outcome-oriented services. Like, for example, managed SD-WAN and SASE is a service which we actually provide to our customers for interconnecting their locations securely, interconnecting the locations and their users working from anywhere securely to their applications, either in their data center or in the cloud. Then software-defined campus and branch solutions so that you can actually manage the ever-growing campus and the number of branches when you expand. How do you actually manage everything at one place, and how can we use software-defined technology to manage that? So that's an outcome-based services which we provide to our customers. Then we also provide managed network security, and we also help you in terms of securing your IT and OT integration in the manufacturing industry, especially in terms of, and this is all what all the services comes as a SKU which got clear outcome and also SLAs guaranteed with that. And of course, the multi-cloud management, multi-cloud network management in the ever-growing space. But the key part of it is how do you actually provide all these services and outcomes using observability and AI-driven network operations, right? So the tooling and the framework, which is a critical part, which can help us in terms of managing your requirements and objectives on the network across multi-domain multi-network domains, multi-OEMs, and spread across where our resources can actually bring in that uniformity and manageability across by using a framework which is observability driven, that is end-to-end visibility, and also having AI driven modules which can actually give the contextual repository of knowledge to actually manage a situation and also automate it. So how do we actually deliver this? We have a cloud operations model where we can deliver all the services to you from remotely through our remote operations. Or if your operations is too large and you want people to be placed and tools to be placed at your location, we can do that as well. And then we also provide bundled services. That is, when I'm talking about network services, it also comes with our network infrastructure services, which I bring it onto the table. I can also manage other network infrastructure services like Airtel or any other competitors of ours, as well as we also bring in our MPLS, ILN, and broadband services into it. And we also have unique solutions like solution in a box, like a branch in a box is a solution where we have a predefined SKU, which has got all required elements of managing the network and security to your branch, which I will help you in terms of expanding your branches with the defined SLA on timeline. Right? We are also flexible in our service model that we provide network as a service, which is a OpEx based, as well as you can buy it and we can manage it for you. We have the capability of plan, design, implement, and manage to take care of your end-to-end operation. So let's go to the next slide. So how do we do that? We spoke about our framework of network platform, which actually is powered by automation and AI-driven components, which can actually help our engineers correlate incidents and diagnose the incident faster. And also we have bots which can actually help you interact through LLM, saying that I can ask interactively what questions and it can give the contextual data and answers like any of the chat GPT kind of a stuff. Then it can do, we have automation to do service provisioning when you actually ask me to add another branch. There's already predefined templates. We can automatically push those configuration and then manage your changes whenever you require. And we also have insights, that is complete end-to-end view, and we also can do predict issues in advance using the AI ops technology. So we have network observability built into the platform, which gives you end-to-end visibility of topology, both from within your network as well as the topology view on how you're interconnecting between using multiple service providers. And also the end user experience is inbuilt into it. Customer experience is important. So we actually, front end is a Akash portal, which provides a complete view of your inventory, your reports, your performance, and including the SLA. Have you met the SLA, what we promised or not? And the health of your devices is also, which is visible to you. Transparency is something which we believe from the long time, and this is our view to ensure that we are providing you all the services and transparently telling you what we are doing. And tools can integrate with multiple vendors. There's multiple tools out here in terms of, OEM names which are there, like from DC Cloud, WAN, and Campus. We are able to integrate all the OEM products into our platform and provide you that end-to-end service. Can move on. Yeah. So I just want to take a minute on our SASE platform. We call it Infinite SASE Plus. So this is a new offering which we are bringing onto the table, where usually the way it is that you have a SSE provider or a SASE technology OEM who is actually not a service provider, but working through a partner and selling you the service and acting as a pseudo service provider, because you are trusting your entire network connectivity to them, right? So you're on the internet, you're going, even though it is encrypted, but you don't have a control on end-to-end visibility, because when it goes into the SSC or SASE provider, he actually changes the IP, and beyond that, you lose the visibility. So what we have done here is we have used the technology from Cato, who is the SSE SASE provider, who is a leader in the Gartner quadrant, and it's an integrated network and security operations is what we bring onto the table, where the SASE provider gateway is tightly integrated to our network. So irrespective of the network, whether it's an MPLS or an internet, we provide you end-to-end control and end-to-end visibility. And today, if you want to get into any of the other SSC gateway, you have to go onto the internet. So we are avoiding one step on the internet, which is on our network, whether you call it MPLS or our ILL, but it is completely controlled by Sify. And we also ensure that all the output going into your data centers or to your private cloud or a SaaS is also controlled under the Sify domain. So we have an end-to-end visibility till the packet reaches the destination packet. And then we provide a one-stop shop in terms of ability to look at your network parameters and the security parameters and security controls at one place. And this will provide you a good, secure internet breakout to your cloud application on any of the media, like whether you are using MPLS or ILL. And also we integrate to most of the SOC integration tools. And we also have built-in compliance for the industries. Like if you say there is a HIPAA compliance, so we have templates which are clearly identified for HIPAA, and then you can just use that template and create your own policies which are compliant to your regulations. So that's something which we want to bring on, wanted to actually put it out here. And the product which you have, which you looked at, which is Cato, which has got a AI-enabled policy management. That is, like, it can actually not necessarily look at signature-based mechanism to look at whether something is a malware or any of the stuff. The signatures, of course, are there, but it can actually use AI. It uses a AI-based mechanism to adjust, because today you know that there's a vulnerability, and that vulnerability will change, right? They will adapt and they will modify it and make it different. So a static signature-based component will fail unless there's a new signature which can actually identify the changed mechanism. But with AI-enabled policies, we can actually understand the changes in advance when it happens through learning, and it can actually adapt and start blocking this traffic as well whenever you see some changes happening in the behavior in the malware or any of this area. And it also helps you to say whether your policies are compliant or not. Wherever it is not compliant, it can actually come and tell you that this is something which you can tweak in the policy so that you can block that non-compliant area where it sees a risk. And it's got a self-healing and self-maintenance inbuilt into it, because it's a network services based stuff. So it's very important that if one POP fails, it has to control all the policies, has to be rerouted to another POP, and then you are able to connect and work seamlessly. And it also provides you complete global connectivity across using the Cato partnership, what we have across their global backbone. And the key part, one second, the key part of it is what we are bringing into the table is on the SASE or SSE today, you are paying for per license, so for the user-based license model. Whereas we are bringing a site-based license where the SSE license is equivalent to the bandwidth of a subscription, or it's a bandwidth based licensing. We want to say that it's a secure connectivity. So you buy a X megabits or gigabits of bandwidth, and you also buy an additional layer of security on top of it. That's the way we want to bring it. Simplified licensing and bandwidth based pricing are one of the unique commercial parameters which we're bringing onto the table, and would love to talk to any of you and do a POC wherever is required, and there's an open offer. Yeah, you can move now, Santhana. Okay, so this is ending my presentation. So we have a pan-India presence on the network, which we are we're very proud of. And this is something which Sify has been building for over years. And then we provide 24/7 monitoring and managed services through proactive fault resolution and performance optimization. And I've not gone into the case studies, but we have a huge case studies where we have managed scale, reliability, as well as criticality of our customers from financial sector. Then we have AI-ready multi-terabit ultra low latency network fabric, which Santhana explained. And we work on zero trust architecture, and DDoS protection and compliance is something which we bring onto the table. Security is by design, not by something which as a requirement we are bringing on top of it. And we have 70 plus interconnected DCs and upcoming 20 plus edge DCs, which is something which is an area which we are spending a lot of investment in terms of building this infrastructure. And we want to be future ready and scalable to help you grow your business. Thank you. And love to see us if there's any question.
Of course. So that was incredibly insightful and really a very comprehensive overview of, the network infrastructure powering our AI system, which Santhana discussed. And Pranesh as well for sharing insights, especially I found this really interesting on the modernization and management of network in this AI era. Now, before we move on to the next stage of our discussion, I have a poll question for our attendees. Sukrita, can you bring the poll on, please?
Sorry, can we use this poll for the next one?
Okay, sure.
Because we're running a little late, so we'll want the discussion first. We'll launch it next.
Sure. No problems at all. We'll move on. I'm actually really interested in getting to the discussion myself. So without any further ado, it is my immense pleasure to welcome our panelists. Sushil Kumar Nahar, who is the CISO for HDFC Capital. We have Ravi Prakash, who is the Group Head of Digital Transformation and IT at CIEL Textiles, and Bala Ramanan, who is the AVP of Risk and Compliance at Microland, to join this panel discussion. Thank you so much, all of you, for taking the time to be here today and discuss this topic. Santhana, I actually want to start off with you, if you don't mind. When preparing enterprise networks for AI-heavy workloads, what design approaches have you found to be the most effective in reducing performance bottlenecks and, enabling AI readiness?
Yeah. So there are two things, right? One is, like I explained, right? There is a campus requirement for AI, right? The customers would want to connect from his compute nodes to cloud, or any of this, right? Which is kind of no near zero latency that's being facilitated by our data center. The speed and scalability and latency, scalability and no uptime of these networks are most critical things that we take care, when we build AI ready networks, right? And if it's in building inside our data center, it is very high uptime with the lowest possible latency, right? And if it is actually between two data centers, right, we have our metro networks on optical, and we have our NLD networks, which with high uptime and reliability, which can facilitate low latency, no data transfer of your air workloads from one data center to another data center, right? So scale, speed, latency, and uptime and security are the most critical components that we take care when we are building an AI ready network.
Perfect. And do we want to get to the next poll question now? Sukrita, can you please bring it on?
Yes, we're just launching the poll question. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So how would you describe the current state of your enterprise network infrastructure? Would you say that it's fully centralized with minimal remote or branch connectivity? Or would you maybe say that it's primarily on premises with limited cloud integration? Or maybe it is hybrid. Maybe it's a mix of on-prem and cloud-based infrastructure. Or is it fully cloud-based with minimal on-premise infrastructure? Or maybe it's just entirely decentralized with multiple branches and remote locations connected. Which one would it be for you? Okay, I think we can bring up the responses. Can you just share the poll statistics? Oh, okay, interesting. The maximum is for hybrid, which is a mix of on-prem and cloud-based infrastructure. Not surprising. And actually half of that is for only on-prem, and toe-to-toe with it is fully centralized with minimal remote or branch connectivity. Very interesting indeed. So I actually, at this point, I want to ask our panelists about, securing and governing the network. So let me start off with Sushil. Let's hear from you. So from a cybersecurity standpoint, how are you ensuring, secure connectivity across distributed environments? And I would actually love to particularly know about, multi-cloud or hybrid cloud deployments, considering the response we got on the poll question.
That's true. So, just a few minutes back, you me were discussing, and I told you that I'm stuck in traffic, right?
Yes.
So, every city in India or abroad, okay, are becoming crowded on the road. So, employees are preferring to work from anywhere. I will not say work from home or work from office, but from anywhere. So, when we are getting into work from anywhere, sometime back, Sun Microsystem used to say, network is the computer, and that word is coming true now.
Yeah.
So network is the computer, and when network is the computer, basic thing which any user or any organization needs to communicate with each other is a reliable network.
Mm.
But matter doesn't end there. You want a network which is secure also, and that is where to manage your hybrid work culture, where you can work from anywhere, you are looking for, as rightly mentioned by Pranesh and Santhana, that we want network, but safe and secure network. Because if AI is with you, AI is there with hacker community also. Correct? So they are also leveraging. That threat landscape is changing, and that is where zero trust network access is extremely important. And now earlier we were talking about ZTNA 1.0, but already they started talking about ZTNA 2.0, which is behavioral based, contextual, right? So that is one part of the network perspective. But from the security perspective also, you need firewall as a service, software defined network, CASB. So all this technology put together, you are basically enabling network which is more secure for users and for your organizations. And another aspect is that you don't want to land up into the data center directly. You want to reach out to your application directly, so that, as Santhana rightly mentioned, latency. How do I reduce that latency? By approaching the application directly. And that application, when you are accessing applications, definitely that entire communication has to be secure.
Yeah.
And that is where SASE 2.0 is helping us. So we are leveraging SASE AI, ZTNA AI to bring that robustness and security among entire network and security.
Perfect. And that answers one aspect of security and governance, right? Bala, I want to come to you for the other aspect of this regulation. So AI workloads are bringing in regulatory risk and compliance pressures. So how are you addressing, observability and auditability and control in your network stack to meet those demands?
I really wish, it was as easy as what everybody is talking out here. Because, this can't be discussed within about 5-10 minutes. But yes, it's going to be really challenging. Like Santhana was saying, Pranesh was saying, Sushil was sharing. The questions which is popping up on the chats, right? It's very focused on the problem areas. When we look at the ecosystem, right? When we talk about first thing is assets, right? When we say asset visibility is needed, number one. Number two, once we have the visibility, then we need to know what is moving around, right? Now, like Sushil was mentioning, like I'm dependent on these assets, I'm looking on this traffic, east, west, north, south, these kind of traffics. Now, the third one is how do I know some things are working or not working? So I need monitoring also there, right? And the fourth one is I need to look at security. And the fifth one, I need to look at compliances and everything. Now, what happens here is each one is a PhD topic on its own, right? I mean, there are so many layers there. We keep on peeling it off. So, however, each one is dependent on the other and has to complement each other. Otherwise, we will not be able to achieve, a satisfied delivery or 100% compliant service. Now, typically, when you look at the development of AI models, that itself has got too many compliance requirements. Today, we have multiple frameworks, right? If you want to look from a risk approach point of view, then you have got ISO 42001 is one option, or you can look at NIST's AI framework, right? Or you can look at the various other models which can complement each other, like a 27,000 could be a base where it can start building up. While this is one side of the coin from a risk standpoint, the compliance standpoint, which is European Union AI Act is there. Now, we have few states in US which has already published their AI compliance requirements. Now we have the biggest dinosaur in US, which is CMMC compliance, right? And they are adding up more layers into that also. Now, each one, while we call it in different names, the underlying factors are very simple, right? Can I trust the outcomes?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, how do I know that you are securing? Okay, I trust this particular entity will take care of your model and everything. But what if somebody does a poisoning of your test data? Then everything goes for a toss. So how do you secure it? How do you take care of it? How do you know the integrity is still protected? Right? That is one. Two, uh, typically as a transaction happens, because it is not only a regulation for AI is applicable to you, but if you apply AI in a regulated industry, automatically those regulations also you need to comply with.
Yeah.
Like for example, if I'm going to do certain AI-based development in a banking segment or in a telecom segment, automatically those regulatory requirements follow through any technologies. In this case, it's artificial intelligence. And there, the biggest thing is immutable logs. What are the kind of logs which is coming up? What are the integrity of the logs? How do I know certain things are happening? And are there audit trails out there? And with certain requirement, which says minimum 180 days of logs being stored, and AI generates a lot of stuff, right? So then we need to store a lot of things. So it's something where we'll have to perform a risk assessment, understand the components, understand the kind of impact it can bring into the environment, and then we need to map it out and identify what are those factors which are very important for the running of the business and prioritize it. It is not as easy as what I just said. It is a humongous space. It's a huge challenge for everybody across the globe, because while technology is very important, we want to embrace it. It's very good, very nice, but it comes with its own baggage, right? And we need to go through the whole 9 yards to look into it. And last but not the least, the icing on the cake on the security aspect is, as usual, attackers, data exfiltration. And how are you going to govern the data, right? How do you know that AI is not misusing? It's a whole lot gamut of things which is opening up. And the good part in all these things is it is bringing visibility for the controlling organization to see that there's a deficiency there. But to address that or not is a priority which the organization should look into an effective risk management approach. It's no more just a IT topic. It is a board level topic, because the liabilities are significant, and there are unlimited liabilities most of the time, because still the AI model predictability is still not very clear, right? In some few use cases, yes, they have been able to do it, but almost 90+% is still it's hovering around. So that is the biggest control. So that's where I will stop here, but I'm really happy to take any further questions.
Fair enough. And a very valiant effort at, giving us a comprehensive overview of all of these PhD level topics. So thank you for sharing that with us, Bala. At this point, I want to go to a series of poll questions that we have. Sukrita, can you please get them on the screen? Okay, perfect. So 3 questions. First one, how prepared is your organization to invest in high bandwidth, low latency network infrastructure to meet future workloads? Are you actively planning significant investments in the next 6 to 12 months? Or are you still in the early stages of evaluating feasibility and doing ROI? Maybe you will leverage existing infrastructure with incremental upgrades as you go. Or do you currently have no immediate plans for such investments? Please pick the one that, is the perfect explanation for what your status is right now. So the second question is, what are your top priorities for network transformation over the next 12 months? Is it to enhance network agility and scalability? Or is it maybe to strengthen your network security, like, SASE or Zero Trust? Or is it improving support for your AI and ML workloads? Maybe it is just to optimize cost. Or is it to enable real-time insights and monitoring? Great question, actually. And the third one would be, how important is real-time observability with AI ML insights in managing your network infrastructure? So you can, I am seeing a couple of questions that you cannot see the questions on your screen. So there is a scroll bar on the right-hand corner. So you'll be able to see the first question and then the second one. And as you scroll, you'll see the third one. So the multiple options to question 3, which is the importance of real-time observability in managing network infrastructure, is extremely important, that it's a top priority. It is important, but not implemented yet. It is somewhat important. And the fourth response is not a current priority. And the fifth is that you're not sure, which is also a fair response to pick if you're truly not sure. And the responses are rolling in. I hope everyone was able to see all 3 questions and respond. I'm seeing a lot of responses. So Krita, can we share the results, please? Quite a bit for strengthening network security, which is SASE and including SASE and Zero Trust. Close on heel at quarter of the population on the screen is enhancing network agility and scalability. Excellent. I think this webinar is doing wonders. And very close on heels is optimizing costs. Fair enough. I love that. And for the investments in the next 6 to 12 months, a lot of you are either actively planning investments, significant investments within the next year, or are in the early stages of evaluating feasibility and ROI. Great. And a lot of you will also leverage existing infrastructure with incremental upgrades. Perfect. Excellent responses. That was actually quite divided. Pranesh, I want to move to you next. Because, based on the responses that we got, what do you think, what is your approach, to integrating security frameworks like SASE or Zero Trust, like we mentioned, into modern enterprise networks without slowing down performance?
Perfect. Thanks. Thank you for that question. And see, I think I covered a bit of it in terms of security is something which has to be inbuilt, not bolted on, right? That's a very, very important thing, right? So we discussed some questions on how do you use, I saw that people said that I want to do incremental investment in actually going scaling up to the AI platform. That means people want to use what they have, and at the same time want to actually have the agility to leapfrog into the new areas of technology and do a technology transformation to handle the AI ML, and also look at observability as how do you actually look at, like Bala said, log management and log rotation, and how much of logs you can actually store and bring the observability is very, very important. It builds both network as well as the storage and server infrastructure agility is very, very important. Right. So from this perspective, I think it's very important as a service provider for Sify to look at how do you help our customers to reuse whatever they have and build on top of it, rather than talking about how do you actually take out everything and put something new, right? So that's an area which is very, very important for us. That's why when we looked at technologies that we want to bring in, like for example, when we bring in a AI-based observability module, it actually has a pipeline for all existing infrastructure, legacy, and software defined. And how do we bring it? So that's a philosophy which we bring in. Same is with the security part of it, right? So today, people were working from office. All of a sudden, all of us moved to our homes, and that actually pushed us to actually get into a cloud-based security, which is the SASE, which came into the picture, SSC, for example. And now it's very important. I also saw a question in terms of like site-based SSC as well as SDP, which is the demarcation of the user-based policies, right? So both of them are important, and having a combined mechanism of managing both the network, that is the site-based policies, as well as zero trust policies on user based who are actually a roaming user or might be within the office, and traceability of who is using what at what point of time, as well as controlling on what they can use and what they cannot use. So that's a critical part. But what we also want to bring onto the table is it's important to ensure that what is their experience on the network and how the network is behaving, and where the security is and where the anomalies are, and how do we actually coordinate both the aspects of network and security together is what we are working on. So that's the product of SASE, which we are SASE Plus. That's a plus point about it, is what we are bringing on, saying that it's not the security and network is not two separate areas. It has to be integrated. And the parts of things like what Santhana brought in terms of latency and ability to scale, how you can actually on the fly increase when you need it or reduce when you don't need it, so that you are utilizing what you're buying optimally, is also very, very critical. So these are the things which you want to combine together. There's usage of the legacy products, what you have, enhancement to new areas, and giving flexibility in terms of like the scale and flexibility is the area which we are focusing on, as well as ensuring that new technologies like SASE is embedded into the network, and we have one area where we can actually look at network and security together. These are the areas which we are investing on.
Excellent. And so far, like you mentioned, we've spoken about what has been done, what we are doing, and what needs to be done next. So on that note, I want to turn to Ravi. So Ravi, as digital transformation has accelerated in industries like yours, like in manufacturing and textiles, how are you able to evaluate and pick partners who can give you integrated support across hardware, across software and services for network upgrades? Ravi, you're on mute.
My bad, I'm sorry. Thanks, Rashmi. Good evening, everyone again. So there would be around 5, important aspects that we would be, looking if at all we have to shortlist a particular partner. One, obviously, we would want to go to somebody which is more like a one-stop shop, who has the capabilities on your networking, your security, and combined with your infrastructure services as well. And since most of the manufacturing or production units are based away from the city, how capable is the partner with respect to providing a very low latency, high bandwidth? Because in the remote location, usually the bottlenecks are the backbones of the service providers primarily. So I would definitely look for that aspect of it. And the second is on the scalability part of it. How modular is the architecture with respect to your computing needs or your storage needs or your network needs, as what Pranesh was mentioning. One size may not fit all. It could be different requirements at different stages of each of the project that somebody is into. And third, definitely is the security part, where if the partner has a zero trust architecture and the compliance towards your GDPRs, etc., and all that. And interestingly, I would be looking at the capabilities on the AI and automation support part of it. if there are any already pre-built models that are already available which can be integrated as a service per se, would definitely be nice to have. And not to forget the last two, which will obviously be the reliability part. What could be the uptimes, then your SLAs, adherence to those SLAs, etc. and all. And finally, the transparency on costs. This will become very critical, where the partner needs to be 100% transparent on whatever the costs that are coming into the client, so that there's no ambiguity on something is projected, but your actual sales maybe 5x, 6x, or whatever. So this would be my five go-to aspects that I would be doing as a checklist for sure.
Perfect. That's a very comprehensive checklist too. So now that we have all of that education and insights, I want to ask our audience to take a second to reflect and share their thoughts on the next poll. Sukrita, can you bring that up, please? Okay. So are you planning to adopt end-to-end managed network services within the next 6 to 9 months? Yes, definitely. Yes, exploring options. No, not a priority. Unsure, still evaluating. Perfect. Can you share the responses, please? Sukrita. Okay, perfect. Yes, still exploring options and no, not a oh wow, that's okay, but that's half the people. Yeah, most people, 50% of the audience is exploring options. That's great. So now I know we're nearly closing in on time, but I'm extremely curious about two questions that our attendees have asked. So quickly, Pranesh and Santhana, if you're okay, can I just quickly go ahead and ask you those questions?
Sure.
So this is for Pranesh. So do we have networks, QoS and COS control and measures and details like number of hops is something one of our attendees asked.
Okay, so that's a interesting question. I'll ask Santhana also to add on top of it, right? So, see, QoS, COS were all very, very important at one point of time, where bandwidth was expensive, right? So that is the start of MPLS. But yes, to answer your question, yes, we do provide QoS, COS, and we actually transparently provide you visibility on what is the utilization on what QoS policies. But what I would like to actually impress upon here is with the introduction of SD-WAN, where it actually does a application level balancing and QoS policy management, which is more important because today the bandwidth is not that expensive what it was, and which applications is important is critical, but not on a bolted on approach where we are saying that these are my application ports which needs this kind of quality of service, and these are the ports which are non-critical application. Those days are gone. Today it's about how is the equipment able to identify the application, right? Because if you look at it today, most of the applications are HTTP. And if you say HTTP and HTTPS is my priority application, everything is HTTPS, right? How do you actually define what is Microsoft, Office 365 application? What is your SAP application? What is your ERP application traffic, right? How dynamically is the product which can define and provide those quality parameters or priority parameters to those areas. So it's all about application prioritizing and also ability to reroute traffic on multiple channels, like in a SD-WAN, which is more critical than the old parameters of QoS and COS. Santhana, I would like to add on this.
Yeah. So we used to have a lot of requests for QoS and COS earlier, right? Probably 2-3 years back, we had a lot of customers who would want to prioritize video conferencing, mail applications, and things like that. But with evolution of SD-WAN and the intelligence moving to edge, I'll not say it's zero, but it's more or less reducing significantly. No, we don't do a lot of QoS for most of our customers in our network today because the intelligence of application level routing and all that is actually, with the evolution of SD-WAN, all that is actually technically moved to the edge, right? So yes, we provide that as a service even today, but yes, it is reducing. The customer requirements are reducing day by day.
Perfect. And Santhana, I just want to quickly ask you, there was one question that I thought was very interesting. They want to know, can we expect uptime of 99.999% considering all the redundancies?
Yeah, so it's possible, and we do have delivered network with such high uptime, right? It's very much a possibility. We have delivered and managed such networks. But of course, there are commercial and technology implications to it. Yes, it is not a hypothesis. It's very much possible, and we have delivered and we are managing such networks in the market today.
Perfect. And Mr. Bala, you have a question if you're able to answer as quickly as you can. How do you protect your endpoints? Bandwidth and security are challenges for work as Deputy Chief Information Cybersecurity Officers like me.
So there are two aspects to this. One is when we say security, first you need to know what are the kind of threats that are applicable to you as an environment. Okay, because security is a very open topic. So it varies from a location to location, asset to asset, everything. The second part is data, right? So we always assume in security, we always assume that we will be compromised or we are already compromised, right? It's only when and how part of it. So we always need to be prepared for your plan B, and your plan B has to be a solid one because you can't have a plan C again, right? So you need to have a plan B. Again, your incident response, the data exfiltration, those kind of things are very important. Very specific to the endpoints, it's not one-line answer. It's very difficult because it again depends on the environment. My only suggestion would be that know what is running on your endpoints, right? You need to have the tools to know what is running on the endpoints because you have a proxy, 80 and 443 ports are covered. But do you have an endpoint firewall? Do you have an HIPS, right? These are typical ones. Number two, restricting application installations on your endpoints. That's also important. And how do you keep tab of it? Anything, registry changes happens. How do you take care of that? So these are certain things, but I don't want to end up suggesting any technologies or brand names here. Yeah. But the core thing is, you need to figure out what is running down there. Then you know whether it is something which you want to control, and then how do you control it? That would be my response.
Yeah, I think that was an excellent way to wrap up our speaking session as well. And for me, what stood out is that making AI work well at the end of the day depends on having networks that can actually keep up. So with that, I'd love for our audience to answer some feedback that will come up on your screen as a series of 3 questions in a poll. Now, as you do that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for joining us today for this really insightful discussion on building AI-ready networks and driving innovation at scale. A very big thank you to our panelists, Santhana, Sushil, Bala, Pranesh, and Ravi, for sharing your expertise and your candid perspectives. Your experience and your advice have actually truly helped unpack the challenges and opportunities that enterprises face in network transformation, in security, as well as AI adoption. So, and to our audience, we really appreciate your engagement through the polls and questions. You've been a wonderful, wonderful audience, and I hope that you're leaving with practical ideas and a clearer blueprint to guide your own network innovation journey. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.